Welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, the American football podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. This is the preview crew, and I'm your host, Keith McGinty. It is week 4, and so far we've had some excitement, we've had some upsets, and we've had some controversies, we'll say, as well, as the NFL season is just getting into full flow now. There's some surprising 3-0 teams, there's some shocks at 0-3 teams, and a little bit in between as well. So to chew over the matchups for this week, I've got some fantastic crew members and panelists and special guests as well. So very looking forward to this. First up, we have, in his first appearance outside his own private Texan Alamo, since they're humbling to the supposedly beat up and injury-stricken Vikings, it's our very own kilted Texan, Graham. Graham, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm on the mend now. I think it's I can't wait for Sunday just so we can turn a corner, turn the page, put it in our rear view mirror, forget about it, and hopefully smash up on the Jags, and that'll make us all feel better.
There's a very good chance of that. They've been pretty giving to the other teams this season, so I think this is an ideal opportunity for your guys to jump back into it, and we'll talk about that a wee bit later on. We've got a Packer making his debut on the crew. It's Edinburgh's answer to the bear, but with extra cheese. It's Gary. Gary, how are we, Chef?
I think I'm offended more than anything else, but I like it. Yeah, no
Heard,
bad.
Chef.
No bad.
Heard.
I'm just a wee bit apprehensive about Sunday myself. Coming up against a very strong, weirdly strong Sam Darnold-led Viking side. I can't work them out at all. I don't know if they're going to be brilliant or if they're going to be horrible at the weekend, but you can never discount Jefferson at all. So I think we need to really watch him and see what happens.
That's definitely one of the games to look out for. It's always a good matchup between the two teams, but certainly that divisional match is going to be very interesting to see. Lastly, but not least of all, we have the Chiefs' premier user of Adobe Premiere Pro to make the best amateur hype videos in NFL fandom. Leaning into his heel this season, it's Brad at Brit Chief UK. Brad, welcome back to the crew. How are we, buddy?
I am very good, mate. Thanks for inviting me back on. I think the last time I was on complaining I didn't get a game ball or a match ball or something. So is this the third time I've been on or the fourth time now? I can't remember. Is it a hat trick ball?
You got a Lombardi. You got a Lombardi, so you did all right out of it.
Yeah, I could do with a few more, but like I said, the Chiefs keep winning them. I can't keep buying them. That's the problem.
Hi. Three's not. You're needing to get like 4 or 5, aren't you, just to make it look good?
Yeah.
What have you made of the Chiefs turning heel this season and really leaning into their baddie thing? I thought it's not just the fans over here that's saying it. I've seen the actual coverage in the NFL they've got into it, and of course your fantastic video that you posted the other day has been terrific as well.
Yeah, I think it has been a bit of a new thing, a new feeling, I think, to Chiefs fans that the hatred really is strong out there at the minute. And we are learning to lean into it a bit like, what the Patriots fans did back in the day. They had a good long run of 2 decades, really, wasn't it, being the most hated team. And we've done it in a shorter space of time, I suppose, to be the most hated team. But it has been a weird transition for Chiefs fans because you only think about it 7-8 years ago we were winning our only second Super Bowl in 50 years, and everybody was cheering us on because it was 50 years waiting for a Super Bowl. It's a magical feeling, and then you start getting into more Super Bowls, more games, more wins. You start getting the poster boy of the NFL. Then you start getting his sidekick is then with probably one of the most famous women on the planet. Yeah. And then you find that the hate is getting very, very real. And like I said, I think fans are just kind of absorbing it a bit more now. I think the Chiefs fans are loving it. It's a great position to be in. And, we don't know when it's going to end. So I think we're just going to ride the wave and just hopefully, maybe win a few more, hopefully. I don't know.
For fans up here, predominantly a Scottish podcast, so we've seen like establishment clubs here in Scotland, but I always think of the Chiefs and I think of the Patriots, but I think of the English Premiership, and I think of Man United and the dominance they had in the 90s when I was growing up, and just they were the team and they just had this ability to grind out results, and it seems that your Chiefs are starting to do that just now themselves. They've not played particularly good. You've not had all your star players really turn up. A couple of wee cameos from some of the new guys as well. Rashid Rice, second season, really starting to show what he's all about. But he's eking out the results. It's nothing spectacular so far.
No, and I think that's the thing that we're a little bit concerned about. I mean, obviously we can't be too concerned because we're obviously 3-0 at the minute. So, and we've played two of our rivals that we normally meet in the postseason, and we've seen them off quite luckily. I must add, it has been quite a lucky turn of events for some of these games. But it's nice position to be in, that the fact that even though we're playing badly, we're still winning, which is great. I mean, you get that. You saw that a lot, like you were saying, Manchester United, some games they'd play really terrible, but they'd somehow grind out a win. And it's that kind of championship mentality that you get out of a team that, they feel invincible, and they'll go out and they'll do everything they can to actually win the game, no matter how messy it is. And I think that's what that's the confidence at the minute that we've got, is the fact that it has to be the opposition's best to really kind of topple us, or at least drive us to the wire. And somehow, even if Mahomes hasn't been playing well, and obviously Kelsey isn't either, the other guys are really kind of picking up the pieces a little bit. And I'm sure we'll get onto the Kelsey thing a bit later on anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that you were over for the flag drop at the start of the season. How was that game? The one to kick off the season against the Ravens?
Amazing. The atmosphere. I've never been to a banner drop before, and obviously I've been over to Kansas City. This is my second time now. Actually, I've been over there. I went back in there in 2017 for my first ever game, and
wow.
you never forget your first time. And obviously that was a time pre Super Bowls, and that was the year that obviously we'd drafted Mahomes, and. It's always magical your first time, but this time, seeing how the place has changed a little bit, they've changed the Chiefs Hall of Fame and everything like that now at the stadium. Although the Arrowhead hasn't changed that much, but seeing just a bit more shine on the place. Just finding a little bit more sparkle about it. But it's funny because the fans are great. They're still there. The ones that we met back in 2017 that really kind of welcomed us, and they're there again, and it's just great catching up with everyone. I think that was the main thing in this. It was going back, building those friendships again, and making new ones again, and things like that. Because there was new people on the trip that we went with, and it was really good. It was interesting this time because there was a lot more international fans. We saw some Australian fans, Germany fans. So you're starting to see this Chiefs team or Chiefs organization or Chiefs fan base suddenly realizing that there is an international connection with this team now. It wasn't like that in 2017. We were when I went with the UK group, Our Heads Abroad, we took about 30 fans over, UK fans, and the Chiefs actually rolled out the red carpet for us and said, "You are the largest foreign contingent of fans that have actually come to visit us." And that was 2017. Wow. Now all of a sudden you're getting everybody over there. That everybody wants to experience what it's like at Arrowhead. And the tailgate is legendary anyway. So it was nice going back and seeing the old place again. But like I said, it has some little changes here and there, but it's brilliant seeing everybody that we saw back in 2017. It was fantastic, really good.
It's great to hear, Gary. I don't know if you get to much football yourself over here, but it's great to hear that the fan base, although you're getting the influx of the foreign fans, that the Chiefs themselves, they're all still keeping the home fans. I don't know. I've got season ticket myself, and it's something that I worry about is that with the prices going up, that you're going to price what so-called real fans out, fans that have followed the team through the dark times as well, and you're going to lose out in that. Do you think, Gary, that's something that the Chiefs maybe will have to worry about as the things go by, or is it just they've got that connection with the area, with Missouri and with Kansas as well?
No, I think the market in Kansas is pretty good, so I think they can always like draw people in. The way of the world these days is money's like whatever you spend it is going to go up compared to what it was the year before. It's just always going to increase and increase. I don't know what the metropolitan area of Kansas City is particularly, but I don't think it has the same sort of draw as like a New York or an LA, where it's like, that's where the international draw is. There's more to see as well as the football.
Yes.
For me, I've obviously got a vested interest in the barbecue, but apart from that, I don't know what else there is in the surrounding areas that would. There's nothing for me. There's nothing that would draw me there in particular. Do you know what I mean? So it's really good that there's a whole load of international fans. You could call them glory hunters if you like. I'm not going to, but you could do. But it's good to see that they're coming across and picking up on a team that maybe 10 years ago was one of the lesser lights. You know?
Yeah,
it is actually interesting. Sorry,
I was just going to say, Brad, you were very quick to put in that you were there in 2017 before they blew up there. You're very quick to get that bit in there. I like that.
Yeah, no, I'd seen them at Wembley, obviously, in 2015 before that. And anyway, but I'd followed them for a good few years before that. I mean, I've gone through some difficult times with them, which I don't want to go into. But but just going what Gary was saying, yeah, I mean, it's very different for Kansas City Chiefs fans now because they're getting that worldwide exposure where they never really had it before. Kansas City is very much, or Missouri, where they're based, is very much a flyover state. Nobody ever used to go there. And it's funny, when we were there in 2017, people were saying to us, why are you here? What are you here for? And we're like, we're coming to watch the Chiefs. What, you Chiefs fans? Yeah, we're Chiefs fans. And they're like, how? I didn't realize that the Chiefs played on your TV over there. And so there's been a real sharp change in how the fan base is, welcoming a lot of these fans over there. I mean, they really do. I mean, they're so welcoming, the fans over in Kansas City, that, no matter where you were from, they'll get you in a Chiefs bus or something like that, and they'll throw beer at you, and they'll get you a lot of barbecue if you want it, that kind of stuff. And, they really do make people welcome, no matter how long you've been a fan or how short you've been a fan. They'll welcome you along, and it has been that a big change, because you don't normally see it, I suppose, if you're like, I don't know, like the very popular teams like the Cowboys that have been around for centuries. You've got like the Raiders, obviously very famous in rap videos and things like that. So there's a lot of connection with those international fans already. But for somebody like Kansas City, being the flyover state, it really has been a culture shock.
Graham, just to bring you in, we're talking there about the change in mentality from the plucky underdog to being like the establishment side, the one that seems to be getting some favourable decisions, especially in recent weeks. You yourself, your team, are changing the mentality. DeMeco Ryans has come in and totally rebuilt, or starting to rebuild that team. We've seen it with the Lions as well. How difficult do you think the transition is to then go from this underdog to being the dominant force in the league? Because the Chiefs, under Andy Reid's leadership there, seem to have really transitioned into that incredibly well.
Yeah, I think what happens is when you make that jump like the Chiefs seem to have done, it's then staying at the top that is the hardest thing, and that goes with any sport. You'll see any boxer, for instance, the fights and getting to the top, and then once you're at the top, like you're just looking around and there's no one else there. It's actually hard to stay there because everyone else is after you. And like the Texans, for instance, like we aren't there yet. We aren't on. I don't think we're improving, and we're vastly improved, but we're not on that same page yet. And a lot of people are talking us up, but I'd like some of that noise to go away, because like we aren't used to that kind of noise in Houston. Brad made a good point that there's some of these established teams like your Cowboys and people like that have been around forever. They're so established. We're still young. We're also trying to build our fan base and make those connections with international fans. I know that I've had nothing but good interactions with the Texans when I've been traveling over to see them. Anywhere I've been, even when they see me in away games, you still get that same interaction, and you know they're trying, and they want to improve, they want to build the brand. It's all like positive for us as international fans, but it's so hard to make that jump up to being one of the dominant teams in this league and to stay there. I would just like us. I like us being in the conversation, but I don't know if we're quite on the top tier yet. But that'll play out this year, and we'll see where we are at the end of it once the dust settles. You know, you've got to take it as trying to improve on last year, and hopefully one season, because you really only get that short window in that short time to be improved. Can you get to the top? And then once you're there, I think it's difficult, but it's also you're helped by the fact that you are Super Bowl champs. You can retain talent. You can bring in more talent. It's just getting to that stage, and so it's all difficult. And kudos for the Chiefs for doing what they've done. It's just, well, as an opposing fan, especially in a division where we have to probably go through Kansas again. It just gets weird in that you're always coming up and bashing your head against the same wall and never breaking through it.
Just to jump in there, Graham, do you think that the catalyst for the sort of rise last season was the trade for Deshaun Watson? Like getting rid of him, getting rid of his presence, obviously getting the big contract off the books kind of thing?
Generally, I think it was one of those things when the stars seemed to align in Houston. There was a lot of issues, like everyone went mental when Lovey won the last game, you know. But now it's like build him a statue, you know, to get us the second pick. So we missed out on Bryce Young, you know, and we ended up with CJ Stroud. Now, I'm not saying Bryce Young would have been bad in our system, you know. He ended up in a bad system, and I think Tom Brady touched on that. Like, you can't rush these guys in if they've got a bad system. You just destroy them as a player. So,
well, look at Mahomes. He sat behind Alex Smith for what, 2 years, 3 years, something like that.
He learned the game.
Yeah,
you know, so it just shows you that it works if you do it that way as well. Don't try and rush your progress and throw these guys in and actually just throw them in the meat grinder. It's not fair on anyone. It's not fair on even the fans who are investing all this money for you to blow your potential franchise quarterbacks or whatever on a crummy line, no weapons, not even good coaching and all that. But I think the catalyst for us was definitely everything aligning at the same time. A lot of people wanted to get rid of Cal McNair. They wanted him to sell the team. I was lucky enough, I met Cal a couple of years ago in Vegas for just a short time, like a 10-minute chat. And the way he come across was, I was like, I can get behind this guy. You know, this is not the guy that I'm seeing touted on social media. This is a guy who actually, he really cares about the team. He cares about the fans. He wants the team to be better. He needs time to put his own stamp on it. And I think we can see that now happening, just the way like we've rebranded. You know, there's all this new buzzwords about the Texans, you know, like the swarm and everything. You know, D'Amico's come in, former linebacking captain, former captain of the squad on defense. You know, it's all coming together at the right time. We went big in the draft when we got CJ and then went after Will. Things that the Texans never usually do, and they created a buzz. And on our flip side is we can't now, like, I've noticed the price of tickets have totally shot up. It's actually frightening. But I was going there when we were absolutely dog. I was going to games when you could literally, honestly, the ticket. I said it on the last show, the tickets were like nothing. Now the tickets are like, even up in the gods, you're like $200.
God almighty. You seen last season with the Panthers, some of them were going for like cents for the tickets last year.
Honestly, that's what it was like.
This season is like $1.50 for a ticket for the first game this season.
Exactly. Yeah, and it just shows you how quickly it can change. But bring it back to the Chiefs there. So we're talking then, Brad, about the mentality change and how the teams are adapting to that. How do you see the rest of this season going? What do you actually make of the state of the Chiefs? Are they well set up? You've got Bolton doing wonderful things in your defense there. You've got Mahomes, of course. Guys, just incredible. Probably if he keeps going the way we're going, if he stays fit for the majority of it, certainly going to be, if not the greatest, one of the greatest QBs that we've ever seen, one of the best players we've ever seen. I think this is quite a fortunate time for many of us to be watching American football. So what do you make of your team? What's the state of them just now for you?
Yeah, well, I'll just briefly touch on what was said there by the lads there. I think the big thing is in any kind of championship winning team is the culture. You've got to get the culture right. Now, I can see the Texans are doing that now. They obviously, they cleared house before with all the issues that they had before with their previous quarterback. They've now got a nice shiny new quarterback who really does. I mean, he lights it up. He really is a hell of a player. And you need that bedrock of talent there, but you also need the leadership from your head coaches, from your GM, and even the owner, and it's got to cascade right the way through to develop that new culture. Because, I mean, if you think about it, like I said, when the Chiefs were going for their first Super Bowl, the whole culture change really started years before that. It was like 2013 when Andy Reid was brought in, and he set the culture in when he brought Alex Smith in to kind of steady the ship and make sure that he developed that. And he stayed there for a good number of years to develop this culture and create this new kind of wave of the Chiefs. And that's what a lot of these teams are kind of missing. And it's like what Gary said about, you're bringing in a quarterback literally from college who's gone through a college system, hasn't gone through a proper program, like similar to what was said about Tom Brady there. He was talking about this program that was very much designed to help the quarterback succeed. But you're seeing all of these young quarterbacks now going straight out of college, trying to play college ball, and they're just falling flat on the face. They get found out really quickly. And the coaches aren't helping them with that. And I think you've got to get the culture right in that team first to then bring on the quarterback and help that person then lead your team. So, yeah, the Chiefs are in a good position because of all of that culture that's been built in years previously. And I was saying before, we can play badly and still grind out a result now because that mentality is there and that winning culture is there as well, because it all cascades down from the owner, from the GM, and obviously through Andy Reid and obviously Spagnuolo. So that's the good thing about it. I mean, we've never been blessed really with a top defense. Last year we were really blessed with a top defense. That Chiefs defense was fantastic, and I'll admit it. That was what won the Chiefs a lot of games last year, and possibly actually won them the Super Bowl as well. But you just feel like you're waiting for this offense to just kind of kick into life once more. Spark into life, get the vintage Mahomes that we saw back in 2018, 2019, where he's launching long bombs. And I think they're getting the right personnel in. Obviously, Xavier Worthy's the speedster that has obviously broken the record of the 40 time and stuff. And everybody was going, is he going to be the next John Ross? Is he just going to be a flash in the pan? But watching him, I mean, when I was there in week one, I purposely watched his route running. And I'm telling you now, his route running is already fantastic. It's just Mahomes isn't quite used to him yet. So he's not really kind of, opening it up for him as much. But I think soon as that starts clicking and he starts getting him in through his reads, I think Xavier Worthy is going to be one of those players that's really going to shine towards the end of the season. I mean, we've already seen Rashee Rice, who, he's been phenomenal so far because he's had to be, because everybody else is concentrating on Kelsey. And that's one of the reasons why I think Kelsey's not been seeing much production. He has been getting open. Kelsey's always open. I always joke about this, saying death taxes and death taxes and Kelsey's always open. It's one of those things that he's always open, and I don't know how he does. And he is getting open, but there are a lot of teams making that emphasis on him now. But it's funny, I watched, I think it was a mic'd up of Kelsey, and he was basically saying to players, eyes on me, eyes on me. He was telling the defense, eyes on me. And he's almost slotting into that role now. It's not about the stats. It's about the team mentality and getting other players open to be a winning team, a championship winning team. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's not seeing that much production. But it's early days right now. I mean, the Chiefs have really got a limited, I would say. It's probably an improved wide receiving core now.
Yeah.
It was limited before. I mean, obviously we had
Well,
so
you're
many
catching
drops
some balls now, at least.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. We've actually got wide receivers with hands now. So that's
MVS for a season. He is woeful.
Who's that? Sorry,
Marcus Valdes-Scantling.
Oh yeah, I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's gone. But you've got to thank those players as well for actually doing what they did in obviously achieving those Super Bowl wins. But you could see there was improvements need to be made at wide receiver, and I think we've got that now. I mean, Rashee Rice is definitely a wide receiver one now, and we've got that gadget kind of player in Xavier Worthy, who was almost like a similar role to what Tyreek was when he first came. Yeah. So. The defense, we've lost Snead. Really sad we lost him, but we couldn't keep it. We couldn't pay everybody basically. I think we'd rather keep Chris Jones. He's one of those backbone players that you've just got to keep in the team because it's not just the way he plays, but his leadership as well. So there's a lot of good things going right, and I think it's that backbone again, as I was saying before, from the owner, the GM, the head coach, right the way through to Mahomes, Kelsey, and even Chris Jones. There's a backbone there in that team that's very strong. And I think the younger players are feeding off that as well.
One thing, I don't know if you guys have noticed at the start of this season is the amount of injuries that teams have had. And the Chiefs aren't immune to it. Pacheco's on IR just now. Is there any other major players on IR for you guys? Noticed there that Andy Reid says there's no new injuries that you have to deal with for the game against the Chargers this weekend.
So, no, there's nobody that we can say that one of the talisman kind of players that we have has gone down injured. But it's just at the minute it just seems as though things aren't quite clicking. But I'd rather have things aren't quite clicking than a list of injured players. Yeah. So. We're fortunate in that respect, and hopefully, I mean, Pacheco, I think he's going to be out for a good few weeks yet. I know we've got Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. He's probably going to be ready for the postseason. So we were looking forward to seeing him, but I don't think it's been an issue with the team because, like I said, Rice and Worthy seem to be just picking up the slack already.
They've stepped up. Certainly stepped up.
Yeah.
I certainly we're talking to Studs earlier on today, and I can see this being the week that Kelsey starts to make an appearance. This is where I can just see him. People are starting to forget about him, starting to put a wee bit of doubt on his name. This is when he just starts to turn up, and he'll probably do this throughout the season, where he'll just pop up every once in a while, just to let everybody know that he's still there, he's still available. But when it comes towards the end of the season, that's when he's really just going to start coming into his own, as it tends to do every year. Let's turn then, Gary. We'll have a wee look at the Chargers. So we're talking about how the Chiefs have not got any real injury issues to worry about, but the Chargers themselves, we've got Joe Alt and did not practice, neither did Joey Bosa. Justin Herbert was limited practice as well. Khalil Mack is limited practice, as was Hayden Hurst. There's the run game that Harbaugh is establishing there with the Chargers seems to be taking its toll on them. The team seem to be getting not banged up a wee bit there as well. What have you made of the start that they've had to the season at the Chargers?
I really like the Chargers as a team in general. Like, I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert. If he hadn't been taken in the draft before Jordan Love, I would have been quite happy with Herbert as well. They sit behind Rodgers for a couple of years, but I think the game of the weekend is going to be a bloodbath because there's just nobody left on the Chargers. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be like the backup quarterback, and it's going to be a bunch of teenagers that they found on the street just trying to and stuff. It's not going to go well for them, I don't think. I think it's like if you put any money down, put it on the Chiefs. I think as you said, this is when Kelsey turns up. He's going to absolutely have a day because there's going to be no one to block him, no one to stop him. It's going to be horrific for everyone except Brad.
What about yourself, Graham? Any shining lights that have impressed you from the Chargers so far?
I think, the Chargers are trying to find their identity just now, aren't they, with the new head coach and stuff. But I think one thing that they can maybe draw from the well on this is, I think, is Jim Harbaugh not 2-0 against Andy Reid in previous meetings. So that might be the one thing. He might be the kryptonite. It doesn't matter who he puts out there. You know, he you know how sometimes you come up against somebody that you just can't beat.
Yes.
So I assume that's probably all that can go on. Looking at their list of injuries, it's a lot to overcome, especially when the Chiefs roll into town. Divisional games are always huge as well, so
yeah,
a lot riding on it. I think it'll take somewhat of a miracle for the Chargers to come out winning. So no, I don't think there's a lot of shining light, even though they are still trying to find their way. But we'll see what they are once they're back to full complement.
They are sitting at 2-1 just now, so it's not.
It's not lost.
A hard game for them. I think Harbaugh has to do a lot of hard work to get to a point where it's even close, I think. But if it is a close game, it says more about the Chargers than it does about the Chiefs, I think.
Yeah.
It'll also take a wee while for Herbert to kind of settle into this role as well, with the Chargers being a bit more run heavy. J.K. Dobbins get 310 yards and 2 touchdowns already. You've got the Gus Bus as well, Gus Edwards, just under the 100 yards for them. But it's interesting to see players that maybe some of us had written off, like Quentin Johnson last year. He's got 3 touchdowns already this season, 133 yards. And Lad McConkey, who they drafted, has made an appearance. It's over 100 yards and a touchdown there for them too. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they come up against a settled team and a dominant team like the Chiefs, and just how well they'll be able to impose their own game on that one. Predictions for the game then, Brad, I'll come to you first.
I think you're right. I think this is probably where Mahomes and Kelsey get the mojo back. I think Worthy's going to run riot as well, especially with, as Gary said, quite an inexperienced team. It's probably going to be something like 31-12 or something like that. Something. I throw on the 12 in there because there might be some kind of safety or something. I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those games. But I mean, the Chargers have always run us close, and you know, basically going what the Kilted Texan was saying there. You know, you just don't know about some of these games, and with it being an AFC West game, you know, and if the Chargers managed to do something against us, I mean, that's both teams on 3-1, isn't it? So, you know, it's going to be interesting, because this really could help the Chiefs try and sort the AFC West as soon as possible if they actually get the Chargers, you know, at a vulnerable stage at this. So, I think 31-12 or something like that. I don't know, 31-11 or something.
What about yourself, Gary? Who do you fancy? You've already mentioned you think this will be
I think Chiefs
big one for the Chiefs.
But I think it's either going to be like 2 points in it or 20 points in it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's either going to be like...
Could be any time, won't it?
Yeah, exactly. It could be anything. It's either going to be like 21-19 or it's going to be 40-10. Simple as that. Yeah. I couldn't put a finger on which. It depends on if the sort of like not yet warmed up Chiefs play a surprise Chargers package. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If that kind of like lines up and it's going to be a close game, that'd be an exciting game to watch. But I don't know if that's I kind of can't see it happening. So I think it's probably going to be a bigger spread than a close game.
And Graham?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like Brad. I'm going to echo Brad. I think it's going to be up in the 30s. The Chiefs score. You know, I think it's going to echo as well the Texans score from the weekend. I think it's going to be something like a 34-7. You know, I think it could get brutal. And if the Chiefs get out ahead early, that's when it can really rack up. So yeah, I'm going for a big number in the 30s, 34-7.
I'm not going to do my Denver Broncos this week and go totally against everybody else. I think this one is going to be a big score for the Chiefs. They have had a couple of tough games. They've had a couple of close games against really, really difficult opponents, but I think they'll just have far too much for the Chargers in this one. So yeah, I think I'm going to go higher. I'll say they'll hit the 40s this week. Okay, next game then we are going to have a wee look at in detail is probably game of the week. Is the Bills at the Ravens. two teams that people would have predicted at the start of the season to certainly be competing for the Super Bowl. One's shown that they have moved on from a wide receiver that did so much for them, that was their main target, and they kind of settled down into a 3-0 season when the Bills, with Diggs leaving, and the Ravens, 1-2 start to the season, which is a wee bit surprising given how much people lauded their defense, and Lamar with his MVP last season, how much that they thought that they were going to actually make a big impact this year. Gary, I'll start with you. What do you make of this game? The Bills have got absolutely rocking just so far. Josh Allen's been wonderful. Who do you think's going? Well, not who do you think's going to come on top, but do you think some of the interesting talking points for this game?
I think the obvious one is the QB matchup, because they're so different in the way that they play.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, I'm going to be honest. I don't really pay that much attention to like non-Packers teams, so I'm kind of a bit lost there. But the Bills being 3-0 straight away, that tells you they've hit the ground running immediately. But they're not playing bad. They're not playing poorly. Do you know what I mean? That like they're winning, but they're not being sort of like held close or anything like that. It's not like the Chiefs we spoke about, where some of the games are maybe a little bit tighter than they should be. But that all being said, there's a lot to be said for Baltimore as well. But they are only second in the division, behind Pittsburgh, who are a massive surprise. I don't know. I can't see. I don't think I can see enough in Lamar Jackson pulling anything through. I think he's lost a couple of pieces in the offseason, so I think it's going to be a Bills good performance again. So I think they're going to go 4-0 by the end of the weekend.
I think so. Yeah. Graham, what about yourself?
Well, I think the Ravens will lean heavy again on the run game. I think that Lamar and Henry are
Derrick
both.
Henry.
Yeah, they're both within the top 10 runners in the league so far this year, I think.
Yeah.
So
Henry's got
obviously they're leaning on that.
281 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jackson's got 254 yards with just the 1 touchdown so far.
Yeah, so like they'll obviously lean on that, and depends how the Bills cope with that. And if they start forcing Lamar to the air, everyone seems to class him as a running back more than a quarterback. But we've seen him make good throws and stuff, and with people like Likely in that, he can get targets and he can get open downfield. The Bills, though, I think, did I see Josh Allen was on the injury report with a hand issue? I think he'll probably play. It's one of those, he'll probably play. It's just they have to tell them that you have to make it known if somebody's hurt. Mitch Trubisky's also got a knee knock. So hey, if all goes badly for the Bills, they could be down to the punter's the quarterback. But I can't see that happening. But it just goes to show you, if you're coming in with niggles, there's opportunity there to exploit that. The Ravens D often can get after folk. This is why these kind of games are so interesting and are picked as highlights of the week. Two really strong teams going into this game. Probably, I think that the Ravens have been unlucky this year. Look at the toe drag swag or lack of in the Chiefs game. That's how close they've been in some respects. So they could be the team that derails this very impressive Bills start. It's going to be. I think this is going to be a hell of a matchup. One to watch if you're a neutral and trying to find a game to watch. I think this could be a real back and forward exhibition kind of style game. So it's going to be difficult. I'm still on the fence with it.
Yeah, Brad, what about yourself? Josh Allen, the Madden cover star of last season. Who is it? It's on the front this year.
I've no idea.
Come on, whoever's died.
No, it's McCaffrey, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Whoever's dead and injured.
He's got the Madden curse, hasn't he? Yeah, it's McCaffrey.
Yeah. On the Gridiron Crew, we always talk about the Bills Super Bowl window and whether it's opening or closing just now. Just now, it's wide open. They certainly seem to be confident in a settled team, kind of like yourselves with the Chiefs. What do you make of them so far?
I always think the Bills through the season they look devastating. They always look devastating. They seem to really be a powerhouse, and everybody starts talking about them in the postseason. Then, as being favourites, and obviously Josh Allen's the guy that leads that charge. But I don't know about this one because I'm a bit. I think with the teams they've already played, I think what was it, the Dolphins and the Jags in the last 2 games or something. I think it was the Cardinals week 1, was it, or something?
I think so.
I mean, the Dolphins are a bit damaged right now. They're a bit damaged goods. The Jags, Trevor Lawrence isn't particularly firing on all cylinders at all at the minute. And I don't know. I don't know if the games are just leading us into a bit of a false sense of security. They're thinking that the actual Bills are the Bills. They're back. They are the team to beat again. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, this is the kind of game that kind of shuts all that talk down, doesn't it? If you can beat the Ravens, who are obviously a very good team, if you can beat them, then it could be one of those standpoints there that you go, right, okay, fair enough. Let's take them a bit more seriously now. But the Ravens, man, I saw them week 1, and that Lamar Jackson is so elusive. When you see him on screen, you think, yeah, he's elusive. He gets away and he runs. I mean, when you watch him literally live in front of your face, the guy is just like liquid. He can get away from almost anything. And he had the Chiefs' defensive line on a bit of a runaround during that week 1 game, and very nearly won. So I'm probably leaning a bit more towards a bit of an upset for the Bills here. I think I'm going to be leaning towards the run game might be a little bit more overpowering the Ravens. Derrick Henry is obviously a phenomenal player, but then you've got on the flip side, you've got James Cook, who's been absolutely dominant as well for the Bills. So I think I'm going to go with a sneaky win for the Ravens this time. And I think it's because the only thing that's let me down a little bit is the fact that I don't think the Bills have really played anyone yet where the Ravens have. So I think the Ravens will sneak this game, but I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be something like 24-22 or something.
That's a good point. The only thing I would say with the Dolphins one, it was them that they enforced their game on the Dolphins. They're the ones that beat up Tua. Yeah, so that was where that came from. But like you said, James Cook has been terrific so far. He's got 3 touchdowns, 188 yards. Josh Allen himself, 2 touchdowns from rushing. He's not got as many yards as Lamar Jackson, though. He's got 634 so far with 7 touchdowns. Lamar's got more yards, less touchdowns, and just the 1 interception. That was always the thing about Josh Allen, is that he becomes that wee bit erratic and he throws those picks. We've not had that so far this season. He
starts making silly mistakes.
Yeah, he seems to be just in control just now, and that's why the Bills are chugging along. I'm with you. I'm not quite sure how this one is going. Do you know what? I'm going to go for the Bills myself on this one, and it's because Khalil Shakir has just been a fantastic threat for them. He's got the 2 touchdowns already this season. I think he's been one that's helped steady the ship, especially with Diggs going. It's all we flashes off it last year, and I think he's really just starting to grow into his role this year. But with him and Cook taking a more of a leadership in the game, and Allen being able to rely on them, I can see the Bills just keeping this one going. They'll be a 4-0 team come the end of the week. Gary, but yourself?
Yeah, I can see a Bills win. I just think that the line can stop the run a little bit. I don't know why. I don't look at stats or anything. I find them really uninteresting. So it's just the way things look to me. So I'm just like catching bits on Red Zone or whatever else. It's like the line looks really strong. So they can probably they might not stop Henry completely, stop Lamar completely, but they can do enough, I think. And then they only have to worry about the sort of weaker side, if you like, of Lamar Jackson's game in the throw. But he's still strong there. But I don't think he's strong enough to get past the Bills. So I think it's going to be 4-0 for the Bills by the end of the weekend.
Yeah. We're going for the all 4 of us there then, Graham. You taking the Bills for this one too?
I'm going to go Ravens.
I've gone Ravens.
Yeah, me and Brad are
So I have.
Yeah, just because going back to that, like after playing Derrick Henry 2 times a year, he wears you down.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they stick with him in the run, he wears you down. And by the end of the game, like you're just fed up of being battered by this battering ram because he's a massive human being. You know, you'll have seen that, Brad. He's a big dude.
Oh yeah,
and he
I mean,
thunders on. If he gets anywhere near 30 carries in a game,
Yeah.
you know you're in trouble as a defensive line. You're going to be gassed trying to stop him, and he will take like a yard or two. He'll just make you hurt on it. So I think they're going to wear them down. Like you said, they've not really faced anyone who's going to wear them down. The Bills. So I'm going to stick with the Ravens. I'm going to go with the Ravens, but I think I'm same as Brad. It's going to be really close.
Yeah,
it's going to be one of those games.
I thought they were going to miss Matt Milano a lot more, the Bills this year, but it's good to see players like Isaiah Likely really taking a step up this season too. So I get so many good matchups across both teams there. Right, good. Let's go for some quick fire calls and we'll have a wee look at some of the other interesting matchups that you've got. So tonight, heading into the early hours of Friday morning for us in the UK here, you've got the Cowboys travelling to New Jersey to take on the Giants there. Cowboys, of course, get beat last week by the Ravens and a close one there. How do we see this one going? Graham, I'll start with you. They are very animated at the mention of the Cowboys there.
I've got to be, don't I? The noisy neighbours up north. They've been so underwhelming, haven't they, this year? After signing that big money contracts for like CD Lamb, he seems to be really struggling. He's getting really frustrated and stuff. The Giants have actually, in the last couple of weeks, they've kind of shown what they're about and they've got a bit more metal in them. That Malik Neighbors seems to be one hell of a target. Devin Singletary, he's very good running back. Sad we moved on from him last year. Very capable in the run game. And I was seeing a report earlier on, it was one of the Good Morning Football watchbacks, and they were saying that Daniel Jones is actually more of a leader in that locker room than people give him credit for. His locker room is one to run through a wall for him. Now, when you watch them in some of the games, you're like, how can that be true? Because he does have a lot. He makes a lot of mistakes, you know, even in preseason against us, through that pick six, when really he should have just thrown it away, or he'd been better taking the safety. But they seem to all be bought into him. So this is going to be a good primetime game tonight. Maybe for all the wrong reasons, but I think that the Giants, after their last home game, it didn't go very well. They want to like wash that away with having Dallas coming to town and maybe hitting Dallas at the right time. Dallas seem to be on the slide just now. They don't seem to be able to get it right. And it's actually, I'd be a bit worried if I was a Dallas fan right now. They've got good players, some excellent players, but they just don't seem to be vibing the way that they have in the last couple of years. You know, they've kind of rattled up into the playoffs, no bother, and like Green Bay handled them really easily last year. You know, but that Dallas team is quite dangerous going in last year. But this year they just seem to be odds and sods. It's just weird.
Gary, is it the defense that the change with Dan Quinn leaving to go to the Commanders? Do you think that's been the biggest problem for them? Because the Cowboys' defense was really what everybody was raving about last year. But on top of that, then you had Dak and CD Lamb, Pollard as well, being able to force it through. We're talking about QBs this year. Daniel Jones has got 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, which is the same as Dak Prescott at this point of the season so far. So, as Graham said, underwhelming from the Cowboys. What do you make of the game tonight then?
Yeah, I think you're right when you say that Dan Quinn leaving has been a factor, because he was maybe someone who knows a bit more can confirm or not, but he was the coordinator in Seahawks under the Legion of Boom. So he built that. So he's like a strong defensive guy. And then he went to, was it the Falcons? And then he was like the head coach for the 28-3. So maybe his specialism is the defensive side of the ball. So with him leaving to go to Washington, maybe he's left a void. I don't know if Kellen Moore's still at Dallas, but I think he's in Philly now, I think. But I don't know if that's going to affect them as well the last couple of years. But yeah, no, you're right enough. They're like a collection of individuals. Like everyone's been worried about getting paid from Uncle Jerry and stuff like that, and no one seems to be concentrating on getting to the next stage. You know, everyone seems to be getting up in years, and they should be developing, should be progressing, should be hitting their ceilings, if you like. But they're just not. They don't look like they're trying. To me, I mean, they get into a certain point, and they're like, "Cool, I've been paid. That's me. Tools down. Don't have to worry about it for 2 or 3 years, and then go somewhere else, get paid somewhere else." That's what it feels like. But this weekend they're playing the Giants. And it could, Giants could be amazing, or they could be Daniel Jones tripping over nothing at 10 yards from the line. Do you know what I mean? It could be either which one. So I think it's going to be a close game because it's a division matchup, but I think it's going to be a very tight Dallas win.
What about yourself, Brad?
I think this comes down to which version of Dak Prescott we get, because obviously in the last game he was pretty darn dominant in the last game. But obviously earlier in the season, he's not been at his best. So again, it's one of those games, isn't it? With you've got two quarterbacks there, sort of similar stats, I suppose. Like you said, I think was it 4 TDs, 2 ints that you said, and
roughly about 60% completion as well from both of them.
Yeah, and you've got a good supporting cast on both sides. I mean, like you said, CeeDee Lamb's obviously probably the main threat here, but looking at that, what Malik Neighbors has been doing and developing his role with Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones really relies on this Neighbors kid, and seeing him play, you can see why he's like he was the sixth overall draft pick or something. I think he was Neighbors.
Yeah.
Phenomenal player, absolutely phenomenal. I'm so glad I picked him up in my fantasy team. But then you've got that reassurance with Singletary. It's a bit more balanced team now that you're seeing, and there's a bit more help there for Jones. So they can really kind of adapt and change the game. The makeup of the game whenever they want. So I don't know if Dallas can do that. I might go with a bit of a sneaky win on the Giants on this one because I feel like there is a bit more of a team chemistry going on with the Giants rather than the Cowboys. And with this being like this is obviously a divisional round as well, isn't it? So it's going to be a spicy one, but I think the Giants might edge it, and I think it might be a Neighbors touchdown that might do it. I think as well.
I think I'm going to go with that. That's what I was going to suggest myself. I watched Hard Knocks during the summer, and that's what they were trying to do. To get a guy for Daniel Jones. They don't sound totally convinced by Daniel Jones. Maybe happy to move on from him next season, probably. But they wanted to give him a chance, and they wanted to give him Dayball and the Sean in the background there.
It's similar to the Dolphins situation, isn't it? Because they weren't really particularly keen on Tua.
Yes.
Until they got Tyreek Hill, and then all of a sudden they've been airing the ball out, and Tua's been obviously getting the stats again. So it's almost like I'm not saying Daniel Jones is the next Tua, but what I'm saying is they've got that player now that he really does rely on in Neighbors, and it feels like Neighbors could be his Tyreek Hill. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just like when I was a kid playing my dad at Street Fighter, I would just button bash, go on this Honda. That's what Daniel Jones is just. He's just firing it to Neighbors, and it's working just now because Neighbors is that guy. Yeah. So 2 for the Giants here so far. Graham, what about yourself?
I'm going to have to say the Giants because I just can't side with that thought. I just can't go.
Good man.
Hate the team, but don't hate the fans. That's what I'm about. So, there's no way I can back the Star. I just can't do it. So let's just.
Gary, you gone for the original baddies then?
Yeah, of course, yeah. But it's gonna be 22 points a paint. Like if Daniel Jones turns up like he's playing with a head injury, it's going to be a whitewash. But if he plays to his sort of talent level that he should have with neighbors, then it's going to be like a field goal in or something like 2-3 points. It's not going to be a lot. But I think Dallas are going to edge it.
Superb. Other big games that we can see for the weekend then, the Vikings against your Green Bay Packers, Gary, must be one that you're looking forward to. Welcoming the Brian Flores defense to Lambeau. How do you feel your team's going to do? Kevin O'Connell, of course, up against Matt LaFleur. Two great head coaches that are really getting the most out of their teams so far this season.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because obviously JJ McCarthy went down for the Vikings very I think before even the first game. So like Sam Darnold's come in and he's just smashed it basically, and that is painful for me to say. But at the same time, Jordan Love went down with an MCL injury in the first game, the last 10 seconds or whatever it was in the first game in Brazil against the Eagles. But then Malik Willis, we picked him up for an absolute song from the Titans, and he's done really well. I think that just shows how good the receiving core is. And obviously we picked up Josh Jacobs, so he's looking really good. He's the kind of guy that if you need 8 yards, he'll either get you 6 yards or 10 yards. So he's doing quite well. I think he's averages 9.8 per carry or something like that. So he's doing really well for us at the minute. I think a lot of it's down to Matt LaFleur simplifying his schemes a little bit because we only had Willis in for a month now or something like that. He hasn't even got his shoes out of the box yet. Do you know what I mean? So he's still learning everything. So to come away from obviously we paid Jordan Love a lot of money over the summer, so he's our guy. But this guy has popped up and it's just been it's almost like the same sort of plug and play almost. You know, he maybe doesn't have the same arm talent or the arm strength, but he's making the same reads, the same runs are all still working, and we've put 2 wins on the board since we've lost our really expensive quarterback. So I think we're going to do quite well. I don't want to say it, so I'm not going to. But I don't think we'll win.
Really?
But I can see it being like a 2-score game as well.
Yeah.
Unless obviously Jordan Love's back, at which point it's going to be very close. But then is he going to be at full fitness? But if it's Malik Willis, it's going to be I think it's going to be 2 touchdowns between Vikings winning and us not winning.
Well, just looking there, LaFleur saying that Jordan Love is close. Now, is this the type of game that you want to bring him back into?
He's been close for 3 weeks. He's been close since coming back from Brazil. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not reading anything into that. I think that's just a bit of mind games because they said the same against Titans and they said the same against the week before. So I don't think. Surely he can't play for another 2 weeks yet, at least. Do you know what I mean? I think that's just a little bit of mind games over us because it's the Vikings. So I can't see us winning this one if I'm honest, because they're just playing too well.
Away to the Rams next week, and then you're at home to the Cardinals in week 6. So just wondering whether if he is match fit, well, maybe not match fit, but available to play, is it worthwhile bringing him back and maybe risking him aggravating it again? Just
I probably aim for the guy.
Will's doing so well.
Yeah, I said Willis is playing well enough. I think he can sort of hold the fort for a couple more weeks, not stress the need, make things worse, and then when hopefully we're 5-1 by that stage, and then it's no problem, no harm, no foul, and we've got a great backup to match our great quarterback. That's the dream. That's what every team wants, right? So yeah, hopefully that's what I would do, but I'm not paid millions of pounds to make those decisions. So I'll just sit here and pray for a win. So
not yet. Graham, what about yourself? We'll go for the Vikings then. What have you made of Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell's team there?
Well, watching the game in full last week, you can see that the Vikings faithful is fully behind Sam Darnold. Where he went down, one of the plays we were called for roughing the passer, Daniil Hunter was deemed to go low on him. He went down clutching his knee, went off for one play, and then when he come back, you could hear just this rapturous applause go around the stadium and that. And obviously they're fully invested in Sam Darnold being the guy, and he's not the same Sam Darnold that we've seen previously. He seems to be more comfortable, more confident. He's got great talent around him. good offensive line. But as for Love, I wouldn't rush him back for this game. That defense was absolutely legit last week.
Mm-hmm.
They really beat up on CJ Stroud so much that we pulled him. There was no point in him being out there getting mullered. So their advantages, they're at home. The Viking noise won't be a factor in this one. So they could maybe weather that storm, but that defense, honestly, they were flying about making plays. They had like 3 tipped passes. I think they picked off 1, maybe 2 of them. The pressure they got, the sacks they got. Our offensive line had an absolute mare in that game. To add that into that equation, but they only had a mare because they knew what was coming. They knew how much pressure was coming. They were trying to get like that extra step on them. The Vikings honestly look really good, and a lot of people are saying that the road will be through Minnesota this year, but it's still early. The wheels could come off yet on that, but they look a team that's really confident. I will say this though: Justin Jefferson hurt his pinky just before the half.
So you say
right? He had 0 receptions in the second half. He dropped 2 passes. He had no yards in the second half. So I think Pinky Gate was very real. I think I tweeted out about it. I know, like I seen the report. I seen somebody reporting on it that he was like clutching his pinky just before the half, and I was like, we've got to watch this Pinky Gate. Yeah, he was targeted and he didn't haul anything in. So, for Green Bay, if the pinky issue is still lingering into this week, if he's not been ice bathing it and stuff, that could be a huge factor in stopping Justin Jefferson's production.
Well, I could just see this is going to make the reels on Instagram for promoting the pod. So there you go, Pinky Gate it is. Thanks, Graham. Sorry, Gary, on you go.
We picked up Xavier McKinney in the offseason, and he's just triple the interceptions we had. I think we had 7 total last season. We are up to 6 already this season. So and I hope he is, if Jefferson is injured, I say hope he is. I mean, nobody wants to be hurt, blah, blah, blah. But let's hope he's dying effectively. But if he can look after Jefferson, then that should go a long way to helping us. But it's as you were saying, Graham, like Sam Darnold looks really comfortable, like more so than he has done since basically the day he was drafted. Because he went down at the Panthers and he was terrible there, and he got picked up by the 49ers somehow, and I don't even think he took a snap. I'm not sure. He's never really done anything for a couple of years, and now he's coming to a place where there's no pressure on him really, because he wasn't meant to be the guy. He wasn't drafted. He's just turned up to hold the fort, and he's been a revelation for them, and it kills me to say that. So hopefully we can make him uncomfortable. But I still can't. I can't.
Well, you're right, because I did see somewhere that I think it's 7 interceptions you've had this year, and you've already tied what you did last year.
Yeah.
So that just shows you. And I think you're up there like first or second with most plays over like 15 or 20 yards. You might even be leading the league in plays over like 15 or 20 yards this season. So these are dangerous on both sides of the ball.
We changed the coordinator in the offseason. We got rid of Joe Barry and came up, got Jeff Hafley in, and that's been there's like chalk and cheese on the defensive side of the ball, and that's made a massive difference. Which I think between that and recruiting people like McKinney has been a huge thing.
Yeah, Brad, I'm going to come to you. We talked about earlier on about quarterbacks and being given time. Sam Darnold certainly have had that, and I've kind of seen that with Geno Smith at the Seahawks as well, where they've kind of paid their dues. They've learned the game. It's not just a come out of college, plug and play. Can't really be done unless you're some sort of absolute superstar. Is this the benefits of Sam Darnold actually getting a chance to experience different schemes, different places to play as well? Are the Vikings just been locked out here?
I think he just seems a bit more settled at the Vikings. I think the Vikings look to be one of the most complete teams in the NFL right now, and I mean that obviously after week 3 with a lot of injuries that have happened to other teams, but they do seem as though they've got a good defense, good offense as well. I mean, they've brought in Aaron Jones as well, which is apparently he's planning a Lambeau leap if he scores a touchdown, which is obviously not going to go down with the Packers fans. But I mean, saying that, I was all in on the Vikings until I heard about Pinkygate, so I'm a bit unsure now. But they just seem every now and again you get a team, don't you, that kind of rises from nowhere. They start playing some fun football. They start enjoying the game a bit more, and it looks as though Darnold's enjoying his game right now. Yeah. He's enjoying where he is at Minnesota, and it seems as though he's got the backing of the team as well. And there's nobody kind of looking over his shoulder right now because he's managing to command the team as well as he can do. Is he one of the best quarterbacks out there? No, obviously not. But I do think he is in a really good situation. It's almost like you call it the Goldilocks effect, isn't it? It's like he feels like he's right at home. He's got the porridge, he's got the right bed, he's got the right chair. He seems to be very happy where he is. So I don't want to go against Gary's team because I did actually pick the Packers to actually be a Super Bowl team this year. So
good with that. You're fine. Carry on.
You're good with that. But obviously, with Jordan Love going down, that's obviously been a big issue for them. But I do think it's going to be a close game. But I do think the Vikings seem to be the more fun team in the NFL right now, and I think I'm going to go with them.
I'm also going to go with the Vikings, and that's purely because I'm hoping that the good vibes will continue into the London game next week, so that teams are coming in with a wee bit of form, and it's going to be an amazing game for me to go and see. So I'm being totally selfish there and going with the Vikes for that one.
I will say though, just before you jump in there, that I think if Green Bay do win on Sunday, then I think that could be the start of the wheels coming off for Sam Darnold. I don't think he holds up to that kind of scrutiny. If he has not necessarily a bad game, but like a couple of bad throws, he'll overthink it, and that'll be him for weeks and weeks, and that'll be them bottom of the division again. But that might just be wishful thinking.
Thanks, Gary. That's London fucked. Thanks very much, mate. I appreciate it. Graham, what about yourself then?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings after what they did to us last week. I can see a bit of a continuation of that, and I just want you to have a great time in London.
Cheers, pal. Appreciate that. Right, let's go. We're going to spike it for the rest. Just really quick fire for the rest of the games. There's some really good matchups, but we're blethering on for a good while. So we'll try and round it up a wee bit. The Saints at Atlanta Falcons. Just quick fire. Who you taking any key points in the game? Brad, who do you fancy for the Saints at the Falcons?
I've got to go with Saints. I think after seeing how the Falcons play, okay, they've kept the game close with the Chiefs, but I think Derek Carr's had a bit of a resurgence over it in the Saints, and it seems as though our old friend as well, Tyrann Mathieu, seems to be getting a few picks recently, which is good. But I can't see past Kamara, whatever he's called, Kamara. So I'm going to go with the Saints win on that.
Fantastic. Gary?
Yeah, same. Saints. Derek Carr's playing too well to see past him. I think the first two games he put the highest points total across the whole league. So, I mean, that's counts for something surely. So, yeah, Saints for me.
And Graham?
Yeah, Saints. They seem to be an absolute buzzsaw just now. And even divisional game as well. They'll just fit right into them. So, Saints.
Superb. Next up, we've got the Andy Dalton grudge match with the Bengals travelling to Carolina Panthers. Is anyone going against the Bengals in this one?
Yes.
Nah. Yeah. I was thinking it myself, actually. Yeah, go for it. Any particular reason why?
There's obviously a big rivalry between the Chiefs and Bengals right now, and I can't choose the Bengals. I really just can't do it. I do think they're full of their own magic right now, and I think the issue has been just I don't know. I think they believe that they're this team that is the dominant force in the NFL, and as we've seen in the first 3 games, they just really haven't backed up the smack talk. And I think. I just think there's something not quite right at the Bengals right now. I don't know if it's a coaching issue. I don't know if it's the leadership issue or anything like that from the head coach, but there's something not quite clicking at the Bengals, and it seems as though there's a lot of players just running their mouths, bit of a chip on the shoulder, not really kind of getting pulled into line. They just seem to be their own free spirits. And I think this game against the Panthers, if they lose this to the Red Rifle, I reckon this could be a real turbulent time for the Bengals. So I'm actually going for an upset win.
Yeah, the Bengals, of course, their run defense has been atrocious this year, as our resident Bengals fans do, has been telling us before the season started. So it's whether Chuba Hubbard,
brilliant, yeah,
if Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders can find little breaks in the defense there, then it could be a shock.
Yeah,
a shock win for the Panthers there. Gary, who you taking?
I'm taking Panthers. I think Andy Dalton's got too much of a chip on his shoulder, and I don't like Joe Burrow's hair. Simple as that.
Love it. I love that.
Graham.
Game of the week. This one. On stats alone. Now, I think I'm going to go Cincinnati because at some point the real Joe Burrow, please stand up. So, let's just throw in all the hair quips we can. But the Bengals have got to right this ship at some point. My God, they were coming in this season. Everyone thought their division was going to be like the best division in football. They were all going to get to the playoffs, but the Bengals have just been atrocious. But I think against a really bad Carolina team, and they are still a bad team, the Bengals will maybe get that win.
What about Rams at Chicago then, Graham? Who's going to win that one for you?
I think the Rams will win that one. Just looking at it, the Bears have been somewhat solid, but we proved that if you blitz the hell out of Caleb, he doesn't like it. So just blitz him all game, and you'll be all right.
Magic. Gary?
Yeah, same. Has to be the Rams. Caleb Williams, he's too slow to making decisions. So then he ends up taking beatings, sacks. He's not quick enough yet for the league. So it has to be Rams.
And Brad?
I've got a hat bet at the moment with one of my friends over in Kansas City. Shout out to Corey. He actually said that Caleb Williams is going to be an absolute superstar in this league. I said he's going to be a bust. So I want to win that hat. I really want to win the hat. So hopefully Stafford will just obviously give him a bloody nose and just send him home packing. I think Williams will get benched this game. I think it'd be a terrible outcome for him.
Oh, there we go. Jacksonville at the Texans, right? Graham, you've got to take the lead on this one, bud.
I'm hoping the word bounce back ability makes a comeback this week on all the NFL networks, because what a team to get to try and right a bad week. And I'm not knocking the Jags have been a good team in the last couple of years, but this year they seem to have started horribly. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the guy. We're going to get after him. It's going to be loud at NRG. Nico Collins has been going off. He's leading the league in receiving yards. I think he's had 300-yard games in a row. And that was even against a really good Vikings defense last week. Mixon, I don't think will be back. Tank Dell, I think, is out this week with a chest knock. Damian Pierce might be back, so we could see him run for at least 2 yards every carry, unlike his rookie year. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. are leading the league in pressures as a duo at 39. Danielle Hunter's actually on 20 and Will Anderson's on 19.
Right, who are you taking? Your boys?
Houston.
By how many? By how many?
Cricket score.
Gary?
Yeah, it has to be the Texans. The Jags, they're just the epitome of poverty franchise. Doesn't matter what they do, who they draft, who they get coaching. It's just an absolute bin fire. Trevor Lawrence was meant to be the guy coming out of college. He was like the future of the NFL, blah, 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 blah. And then he had Urban Meyer, who was dog shit, frankly. He brought in Doug Peterson. He's not been much better.
Yeah.
Fair enough, you can only sort of like play with what's in front of you, but like he's I don't want to say he's a bust, but he's not the guy. So the Jags are going to be terrible for another 3 to 5 years at least. So Texans.
I seen that. Sorry, pal. Yes, I seen that his stats, and if you compare them to Daniel Jones, are pretty comparable.
It's a bit
Whereas
meh,
Daniel Jones has been getting absolutely lambasted. Trevor Lawrence is this generational talent still. So we'll see. What about yourself, Brad?
Got to go with the Texans. I think, like we were saying, I don't think the Jags are actually going to win again this year. Just looking at how Lawrence and co just don't seem to be connecting at all. So I've got to go with the Texans. I think CJ Stroud is the next big thing in this league. And like we were saying, like Graham said there, Nico Collins is just an absolute monster at the minute. So I just think it's going to be too much. I think we could be close to a 50 burger on this one. I think it's going to be something like 48-10.
Lovely. You're just trying to cozy up with Graham here. That's what it is.
I want to go.
Right,
I want to go into his pad. I want to see his.
Listen, we're going to at some point this season. We're going to do a live show up there, but Graham's kindly invited to start, so we'll do it at some point. I'm just looking for the winners for these games because I'll get absolutely battered if I don't get off the podcast shortly. So Pittsburgh at Indianapolis Colts. Brad, winner from that one.
Steelers.
Gary.
Same Steelers.
Graham.
Yeah, Steelers. Steelman.
Broncos at the Jets. Graham.
Jets.
Gary.
Broncos.
2 wins in a row. And Brad.
I don't want the Broncos to win, but I think they will. I think the Jets, they're not led well. So I'm going to go with the Broncos.
The Eagles are at the Buccaneers. Gary, I'll start with you for this one.
Buccaneers.
Bounce back ability there again. Brad.
Bucks. Yeah, I've got to go with the Bucks, I think.
Yeah. And Graham.
Bucks, because they've got a great record against Philly lately.
Terrific. Another team that's got a good record against the Eagles is Washington. Washington are at the Arizona Cardinals. Brad?
I'm going to go Washington after seeing, is it Jaden, is it?
Jaden Daniels,
yeah. Thing. Yeah, I think he's going to be on a high. I think it's going to be the Commanders.
Yeah. Gary?
Yeah, if Jaden Daniels keeps firing at Scary Terry, then yeah, nothing but Washington win.
Yeah. Graham?
Yeah, Washington, I think. They don't punt, do they?
No, they don't. They don't. I'm going to go for the Cards for this one. I'm a big fan of McBride, James Conner there. I think there's a good team, and the Cardinals are emerging. Patriots at the 49ers. Can we hope both teams lose that one? Or Graham?
For you, Keith, we'll see a draw. That's as close as you can get to both teams.
That would be lovely. Yes. Gary?
I think it's going to be 49ers.
Go for it. And Brad?
I'm going to go with another shock. I think Patriots in this one, even though I don't truly believe it, but I just got to go different.
Yeah, we're getting to the end. We're all tired now. We're just slugged that out, right? Okay. Browns at the Raiders. Brad.
It's going to be the Raiders because they're going to keep the pressure on, aren't they, in the AFC West against the Chiefs? So I think they're going to get that win.
Go for it, Gary.
I'm going to go Raiders. I don't know why, but I just really like Gardner Minshew. I don't think it's his play. I think it's his attitude. Nothing else matters. And I just kind of hate Deshaun Watson as well. So there's that.
I think we're all in agreement there. Graham?
The Raiders. Deshaun Watson's just been horrible. And if any Browns fans are listening, thank you. Hey, our owner said anytime you see a Browns fan, you should thank them as a Texan. So thanks, Brock Osweiler, Deshaun Watson. Just thank you.
There you go. This one goes out to Brian then for the crew. 2 more games to go then. We have our Monday night games. You've got Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins. This is certainly one to stay up for. 12:30 kickoff on Tuesday morning for us here. Graham, go for it.
I don't know. I generally think Tennessee's going to win this one because the Dolphins are so far down their depth chart, probably on quarterback. So I think Mr. Mayo's lover is going to get one. Will Levis.
Telling you, Will Levis is going to be a star. He's like we've said all
Hellman's.
Just need to give you, just need to give the young QBs a wee bit of time to flourish and develop.
Gary, you going
for the Titans? Gary, you going for the Titans in this one too?
Yeah, it has to be the Titans. I don't know. I don't even know who Miami's starting quarterback is going to be this weekend.
Could be Boyle.
They don't know.
Could be Tim Boyle. He was our fourth stringer in the preseason.
He was Aaron Rodgers' clipboard holder for about 5 years. So
they have a chance.
So get Mike White back. Get Mike White back. Brad, who are you going for in that one?
I'm going to go the Titans because I think Tyreek wants to get arrested this week, so he doesn't have to play with that quarterback. So I think that it's going to be the Titans.
Listen, that guy could just be on paternity constantly. He doesn't need to be there. Right, finishes off on a high. The Seattle Seahawks are travelling to Detroit to take on the Lions. Why are the Seahawks going to go 4-0, Graham?
What? No. Sorry. No. Lions eat birds.
Gary?
No, the Lions, I think Goff has a really good record against the Seahawks, so that record will continue.
Gary?
Dan Campbell's built a really good side in Detroit, so it has to be Lions. I think they're on the uppers. Seahawks on the way down.
Yeah. Brad?
Believe in Geno Smith. I'm going with Seahawks. I'm going with them. I'm all about the upsets this week, I know. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
Upsets. We're the team informed 3-0. All this rubbish about we've not played anyone yet. Listen, the Lions will be.
Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-0 as well, so let's not be putting too much faith in that.
Oh, to be fair, yeah. I'm going to go for my Seahawks in this one. I've just got the good times roll. DK for another bomb from Gino. There we go. Magic. Gentlemen, thank you so much for that. I'll be looking forward to the full card of games that we've got in Red Zone because I'm going to be watching them in Edinburgh at Dropkick Murphy's with the rest of the fans going there for the NFL Scotland thing. The guys from Stramash have organised this and invited us along. Very much looking forward to my first big meetup with other fans. So I got some new outfits for it today. So they've come in, a couple of new Seahawks hoodies, and just trying them on in front of my wife just to check and see how they go. So we even get new socks for it and everything. I'm just so excited. So if you see me, make sure you compliment me on what I'm wearing, please. I appreciate that. So yes, Brad, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on again. Thank you.
No problem. It's been great. I've really enjoyed these chats. Great. Thanks for having us on.
Cheers, bud. Gary, a strong debut from you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It took quite a lot of restraint not to actually let out what I wanted to say quite a lot of the time. So I thought I'd behave because it's not the place.
I thought this was going to be the first pod that was going to have to edit, so I appreciate that.
I think I only
I'll be able to make it. I'll be able to make it into work tomorrow. That's great. And Graham, a pleasure as always, bud.
Yeah, honestly, just love being on with the different panels and everything. Everyone always brings something different to the table. It's excellent.
Smashing. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much for listening. I see that we've got a comment just before we go. Have a wee listen. Paul Hope saying, Brad, I'll see you in a few weeks, buddy. That's nice.
Yeah, we've got a rival watch meet going on in Newcastle. So it's the 49ers faithful and the UK Chiefs fans. They are just the amount of people they're bringing up for this. We're just going to get drowned out. It's unreal.
Unreal. Studs, I don't think can make it, but Eric was on last week and he was telling us all about it. It sounds incredible. I hope you all have a great night. We'll be make sure we'll be looking out for that on the socials as well. Right, guys,
Yeah.
thanks very
Cheers.
much for tonight. Make sure that you are following the crew across all our social media. We will be doing so much over the next couple of weeks. As I said, I'm going down to the London game that's coming up between the Vikes and the Jets. So there'll be plenty of interviews and details on there. Yeah, follow the crew, get involved. Love to get comments from the watchers and listeners. So we'd love to hear how you're doing out there. Hope you enjoy your weekend of football, and we will speak to you on Monday with the review crew. Thanks for listening.